Okay, so today, oh, you know what? Let me fix my mic. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? Okay, sounds good. All right, so today, this is a game platform that I'm working on. It's a Jackbox style game where you have a presenter and then you have users who join the game. And the game I'm making is in the style of Boggle. And hold on a second, let me get there. Um, it's called Lexible. And the idea here is that there's a giant Boggle grid, and players are interacting to get to move across the grid. And I don't know, I haven't figured out all the interactions yet. But what I'm doing today is I'm playing with these clients and making it so that we can click on letters and have words clicked on over here in the presenter and then reflect on with the other players. So anyway, so that's what we're working on today. So I just got these click interactions to work. Now what I want to do is I want to be able to show on the presenter that letters are being clicked, so you can see the activity of different people playing on the presenter. So let's start doing that. Okay, so the code is here in the Lexible code, and we have the Lexible client. And the client is rendering these letter blocks here. And the letter block is interacting with a model. And so we have the model is this letter block model. Okay, so this is the thing that thinks about what a letter is in the game. So here's where we're going to start our interaction. So when a user selects a letter, they are going to set this property here, selected, to true. And so what we want to do here is if value is true, so if we're going to turn the selection on, then we need to do some extra work. Now, this letter block model needs to be able to ask or to say that it's been selected. So first of all, yeah, we need to, so we're going to call some parent object on, actually, no. We're just going to call onSelect, our own onSelected. OnSelected, like so. So there needs to be a this.onSelected. So we're coding by intent here. So this is what I would like to exist. Now the compiler is telling me you don't have an onSelected, so we'll be fine. We're going to have a private, I like to underscore the private stuff, onSelected is equal to some, or is, yeah, I can just equal to it. It's equal to some lambda that does some code. That's the default value. But we should pass that into the constructor for this class. Okay, and so we'll pass in an onSelected here. It is a function that returns a void, and it is equal to some function that does nothing by default, which I guess to really make this be proper, we'll do it that way. And then in here we'll say this.onSelected is equal to onSelected. All right, so now we know from the parent, for the person who owns these block models, that's how we do it. Now, why is this unhappy? This isn't happy because it's never read. What do you call that? Oh, that's because it didn't have an underscore. Okay, so now the client model, the thing that thinks about the game on the from the client side, can now think about these letters. So whenever we set up a playing board, this is where we set up this here in the player's game. And they have basically a copy of all the letter blocks that are coming in from the server. So what we need to do here is where we're creating this new letter block model, we need to add a function here. So this is added the letter. Oh, and it wants coordinates. So I added that recently, but I haven't put it here. So let's go ahead and put the coordinates in there. So the coordinates in this case are, make sure I can see chats. The coordinates in this case are just xy. Okay, fine. So we need to pass in an x and a y. For coordinates, and the x is, oh, I did this kind of backwards. Let's do it like this. X is 0, x is less than the grid width, x plus plus. Oh, yeah, this makes total sense. I just realized I made a mistake when I was doing this. I should have done it like, yeah, this is gonna make, I'm gonna have to fix something here. So we're gonna go y, oh no, this is right, sorry. So we're gonna go good row by good row, create new rows, and then go x, and then we can just go xy for the coordinates. All right, and now we give it a function. So this function, we'll go ahead and just write it in as a lambda here. And now we can start thinking about how we're going to talk about this. So when this function is called, it means that we have, in fact, selected a particular letter in the larger grid. So we want to send a message to the server. So we'll call this alert letter. Or we'll call this alert selected. And we'll just pass in the new block, this letter. So now we need a little function down here. We'll call this alert selected, and it will take a letter block model. The letter, we'll call this, maybe call it block. And then we'll do something in here, and I'll paste a little beautiful comment header on it. Oops. Okay, so now we have a block of type letter model. Now we want to send a message. So this is what it looks like to send messages here. This is a player action. Yeah, we'll just use send action. We'll force it into the player action. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we got action and action data. So we'll do this dot send action, and the action is going to be letter select, like so. The data can be any. Okay, great. So this, we just need to know the coordinates. So we want to have a block, so we'll say Oh, we'll call this position. And we just need the blocks coordinates. I guess we should just call it the same thing. So basically this is going to send a message to the server and with just these coordinates in it. I think that's all we need. Okay, now I've already set up code on the server to listen to player actions. And this is alert selected, new block, and why is it not happy? Cannot find the name alert selected. What are you talking about? It's right there. Oh, this dot alert selected. And let's just make this a little cleaner, like so. Okay, now this is new block, has implicitly any because it does not have a type annotation as referenced directly or indirectly in its own initializer. Okay. Fine. We'll just reproduce the coordinates. Yeah, we'll just skip this. Fine. And we'll do this. We'll call send action directly. And pass in this XY here. Boop. Okay. So now we do not need this. All right. Okay, now on the server side, so now we have this message is going to the server, and now we need to have the server respond to it. So, or not the server, the presenter. So here's the presenter, or the presenter model is actually this is where the presenter side thinks about the game. And I have subscribed somewhere here in the constructor. There we go. So I've subscribed to the player action message, and here's where I handle it. So let's go to that definition. So here we get to, okay, so this is where I'm noticing some magic numbers here, and the compiler's not complaining, so that's a bad smell. So let's go ahead and add some magic numbers to this. What we want to do here is in our messages definitions, we have this idea of a player action here, and it says the action is a string, but let's not make it a string anymore. Let's export an enum, and these are going to be player actions. We'll call them lexible player action. And so far we have defined just one player action. This lexible player action is going to be a, what do we call it in the client? It is a letter select. So we'll call this, let's be more specific. Client, actually it is the client action. Lexible player action, letter select. And we'll just set it equal to letter select. Okay, so now we have that. Let's change it to here. All right, so now when we save this, the compiler should complain now because these things are not, yeah, that's what we wanted to have happen. So in the presenter model, it's complaining because these are not lexible player actions. There is only one lexible player action that we have. And it is lexible player action dot letter select. And we're going to, we invoke events because, well, in this case, we don't really need to invoke an event. Like, we could invoke an event and, like, have the presenter, this presenter thing, subscribe to it, but We already have that set up through MobX and our player grid, so we can do this on our own. Just right here, we can just play with it. So we don't need to invoke an event. We know what this action has. We know that there's some data with it, so we can say const. Let's make it a separate function up here. So let's go handle player letter select. Okay, and it's going to take some data here. Now, what we know in this message, if we just go to the definition, we can see that this guy extends a cluster fun message base. If we go to the definition, the message base has the player ID that is sending the message. So if we want to do stuff off of the player, we can do that. Okay, so player select, it needs to have a player ID string, and then we need to have coordinates, which is an X number, Y number. Okay, so from here we say this dot handle letter select, and we'll pass in the message dot from player ID, and then we'll say message dot action data as X number, Y number. Now I'm noticing that this pattern here is being used all over the place. I ought to have a type defined for this so that I'm not using it everywhere. Maybe like a vector. So why not? Why not do that? So this should be in the general lib. So we're going to have, where would be a good place to put it? I think I'll just, what do I have in animation? No. Components, no. Maybe under types. So let's do a new file, and we'll call this a vector. I'll call it vector2.ts. And we'll just say export class vector2 x number, y number. That's all I need for now. And then everywhere that I use it, I'll use a vector2. Okay, back to our presenter model. So let's use vector2 here. So we'll be a vector2. Let's see. Okay, there's some problems with what I just did. It really should be an interface. Let's just call it interface now. Vector2. And okay, presenter. Okay, so we're doing this vector. Okay, now inside the player select here on the presenter, now we can mark the letter blocks as selected. Now I'm using the same block model. Yeah, I'll worry about the color in a second. So we should be able to select them just like we did before. So let's do it that way. So we want to get it. So the player grid is stored here in this thing called grid rows. So we come down here and we say if this.gridRows, then we're else we'll just console.log weird no grid rows. Okay, we say the block that we want is equal to this dot grid rows coordinates dot y, and we get back another thing, and we'll say coordinates dot x. There we go. Now we can say block dot block dot is selected is true. Okay, so now yeah, I can already see a problem. All right, this should and we are not changing the background. So the client model, the way that we changed the background on the blocks, we had the letter block. We have a letter block presenter here, and here it goes, if it is selected, that's the handle click. Interesting. Yeah, I think we're gonna need, this is gonna behave differently on the server versus the client. I think we need to break them apart. So this letter block here is a component that really should, well, that's behaving perfectly for the client. I think we should have supersets of these letter blocks. Maybe that's what we should do. Let's do a server. Yeah. Because there's some similarities here. They're going to look the same and behave the same. Well, one thing at a time. Let's just get this to work. We'll keep using letter block. So this selected thing here does change the background. So this should just work since we use letter block in both places, and we're going to mark it selected. So if I come here to this and I'm clicking up here, we should see that these guys get selected as I select up here. Boop. No, not working. Okay, why not? So where does this fail? So let's do some F12 magic here, and let's see if we can see what's going on in, make that bigger, in the console. Okay, console. All right, so let's see what is going on. There in the client model, where we're sending this message, let's see if we even get here. Console.log sending action. Okay. Okay, file saved. Doop. Okay, we're not even getting there. Let's try to refresh the whole thing. See if that's still. Yikes! What's going on here? Oh, the vibrate calls are not going. That's okay. Cannot update during existing state. That happens sometimes when I reintroduce a game, but that's okay. Let's clear this. Console. Okay, so this is definitely not triggering. So where else can this trigger be failing? So in the block model, I think, let's just put it here, console, and we'll call this changed selection on, and we'll just do this dot letter. Okay, did you get that? Boop. Not happening at all. Huh. Okay. What happens if I do that? Do. Still not working. Okay. I have an idea of what this might be. Might be something with our serialization. But let's... Yeah, it's our serialization. Okay, this is gonna... watch, I'll make this work. So let's quit and just do a fresh game. Boom, boom, start. Okay, this is... We haven't done any reloading here. And it's still not working. Okay, now I'm really confused. Because this is clearly triggering at some level because we see the selection changed, and the selection is triggering off of this. And we're not seeing it in the console. Okay, client model. We're doing stuff here in the in the block where this changes. Let's do console.log handling click. And we'll go boop. Yep, that is getting there. All right, now it's time to bring out the big guns. So, oh, see what I did there? So dumb. Okay, this is where TypeScript can help you if you're good about being disciplined on your name, on how you declare variables. So here's the deal. This letter block model, so in the letter block, I'm referencing the underscore. That should not be possible. The underscore thing is the private thing I was supposed to hide. But did I make it private here? No. Private. Private. Now, this is why TypeScript is great. Because if I had done this properly, I would then see in the letter block, you can't do that. You have to go through the selector or the getter and the setter. You can't reference the thing directly. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go over here, refresh the page, clear the console. Boom. Okay, now we're getting further because we're seeing that we're handling click. We are changing the selection on these things, but we're not calling the onSelect. So back to the block model. Okay. And let's just put this here so we know if that's happening. Selection set to. I know we're gonna have to do this sooner or later. This checking for value doesn't make any sense. We just need to change what it is. And I think that we need to move it inside the action so that we don't get a weird race condition. I don't think we will get a race condition, but I don't trust this action to complete before we call onSelected. Okay, so this onSelected is equal to the onSelected that got passed in. Super. All right, I'm gonna put here a console dot, no. Yeah, console dot log. Hey, actually, not this one, because I think we're not actually setting the proper onSelected. Boom. Yep. Okay, so this is not getting set. Okay. Why? We're getting closer. We'll just call this the default. Weird. Default select action happening. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so boop, boop. Yep. All right. So this is the, all right, let's see if we can figure out what's happening here. So when we restore the game, on the client. All right, so this is all right. Let's go back and do the experiment I was doing before. So let's quit, start a totally fresh game. Boom, boom. Click to start and start selecting. Aha! Now we got further. Yeah. So this is what I was suspecting is the problem. I'm missing some logic in the game restoration to reconnect this onSelected. We'll figure that out because it's yeah. Trying to and this is a serialization issue because in the resetting of the serialization, or we're deserializing the objects, it's like you can't, this function you can't really serialize into it. So we have to reconnect it by hand when we come back from a safe state. So that's what is happening here. Okay, so let's chase this one down because we're definitely hitting a problem. And we're trying to read an undefined, let's make that bigger so you can see. Here in presenter model, line 290. Okay, so in player select, cannot read properties of undefined. What line? That's like a weird line here. So is that like a this problem? We can avoid this and scope issues by declaring it as a function pointer. I don't think that's going to fix this, but let's quit and restart and try that again. Oh no, quit. Let's just clear everything. Do, boom. So all right, still crashing. But it's telling us the correct location now. No, what? There are grid rows, but there isn't the coordinate X. Fine. So let's give a better problem here. This is on line 292. Okay. So const row is equal to this grid rows y. And it is an array. Okay, fine. If not row, then we'll throw, and we'll just see. Yeah, we should throw here because that shouldn't happen. Throw an error, bad or no row at, and we'll do the coordinate, coordinates y. So there's no row there. And then we're going to say the block is equal to row coordinates x, and we'll say we'll never get here. We probably didn't get the row. We'll say if there's not a block, then we'll say no block at coordinates x coordinates y. Yeah. Okay, let's see what we get. Boom. Clear it all. Do. Start. Boom. Okay. No row at undefined. Well, that explains things. So handle player letter select find all references. This one. The action data. So let's put a console log here. Console log action data. Action data is JSON.stringify message.action data. Let's do it like this. Letter select. We'll just show the whole on message, and then we'll show the whole message, and we can see what's going on there. Okay. Clear all memory because we're still working with the bug. Start select. Okay. So we got a letter select on a message that is from player ID, client 0, round number 2, action, letter select, action data. Oh, it's got coordinates. Of course, I screwed up. My mistake. Boy, action data dot coordinates. Player action message. I guess we know. Oh, that thing is an any. That's right. And so I guess what we can do here to help us along with our type scripting is come here to the messages, and we see here we have a player action message. And we have an action data. And so let's do it like this. Let's say we have an interface called a letter select, and let's put these all together so we can see them. Letter select. So letter select data, and it's got coordinates of vector2 type. And so this action data right now is only one type. Later on, we'll add some new data types with that syntax. So now, TypeScript is helping us out by saying, hey, dude, yeah, look at that. Trying to do stuff with that, you can't do it. And this one, we don't need to do as vector2. And if we try to do something that wasn't there, it complains. Perfect. Coordinates. Okay. So now we know we're getting something, and just for the grin of it, let's do a if not coordinates. We'll throw error weird no coordinates. Oh, we'll just sometimes it's better just to log. But anyway, it's not really a weird. It's an error. No coordinates passed to handle player letter select. Okay, that's something I always do is whenever I'm coding and I just see things go wrong, I go ahead and add checks so that I don't have to guess what the problem is later on if I see the thing again. Usually I don't hit the problem again, but it's nice to have that stuff there. Clear all memory. Doop, doop, doop. Okay, ready? Boom. Yes! Oh my gosh, it's working! Okay, so now we have a letter going. So when we select here, now when we unselect, it doesn't work. We'll fix this. Okay, so now we need to fix two things. We need to fix the refresh. So like when I refresh this, oh, look at that. I forgot all of the selections and everything. That's crazy. And now with the refresh, it doesn't connect anymore. Okay, so let's fix that. Too much noise outside. Okay. So when we reload the game, we need to reconnect everything. So the reloading of the game is something that happens auto-magically. And I think that we can hook an event to do something. Let's see what happens in the parent. So we go to the client first, and we're going to do these hookups. So we go to the cluster from client model, and so player join, game over. Yeah, it's probably deeper in the base game model. Okay, so the base game model does a lot of the bookkeeping for these different. So each of these. So if this view looks weird because this is my debugging. This is my game development view. Normally you won't see everything on the screen like this. This is a special view that runs the presenter along with 4 different clients all at the same time so that I can do game development without actually having to run it through the server. All of these depend on this base game model, which does the bookkeeping for these games. And one of the pieces of bookkeeping does is like if you navigate away from the page and come back, it should be able to reload the game and like have you continue in the same state you were before. So this is using this thing called a brute force serializer that I wrote so that when the thing comes back, it's reconstituting the game. Part of this brute force serialization process is in the client model, or in the models that we create a type helper, which says how to reconstruct these guys. So on the client, it says this is how you need to reconstruct a letter block model, because a letter block model is part of the data that we save in the game. But this is not enough to reconstruct the full letter block. We need to actually reconnect it with the coordinates, and actually yeah, so the letter block model will mostly be reconstructed. As you can see, like the letter came back correctly, and if we could examine these, we'd see the coordinates come back correctly because those are simple types. We can easily reconstruct them. What we cannot do is reconstruct that function here. So back into this base game model, after we rehydrate it, then we can do it. And you should see here, like when we refresh the state, we should see up here, yeah, found a saved game. So let's find that text. Found a saved game. Yeah. Yeah. So, yes. So this is an action, and this return me is being, all right, is in instantiate game. So when we call instantiate game, it loads the it loads the game up, and it does a serializer. It says, hey, is there some saved data for the game? If there is, let's do it. Let's get it. If saved, and then the return me is set here. What does this return me? So yes. So we're gonna, oh, this is interesting. This could actually be a bug if this return me doesn't come back in time. If not return me, then it'll complain. Well, apparently, okay, this save data. Yeah, I'm not even sure this needs to be inside of an action. Yeah, I don't even know why this is inside of an action. This is the only reason to have this inside of an action is if stuff you did here had consequences to the state on the objects. But all we're doing here is we're parsing this stuff. Back here in this flexible client, it's possible that some of these things, this helper has a session helper, has the game props. Session helper, what does that do? Can't remember. It's able to get the room, recipients, listeners. Okay. Yeah, so like this allows us to create the client model. Yeah. So when the client model is created, it's able to reconstruct itself the way it would normally reconstruct in a game. That's what this thing allows you to do. What we cannot do is we actually need the lexical client model that this creates to properly construct a letter block. So we're going to need to fix this. Yeah, like we'll continue what we're doing here. Okay, so this is all to determine that in the base model, where did the base model go? Where did it go? Good efficient. So in the base model, we are looking at this action somewhere here. Yeah, this guy. Oh, that's so annoying. As any, I don't know why this is not happy. It doesn't. It's unknown. So error. I know. Can we do this? Error. Does that work? Yeah, that's annoying. I wish that the types are. There was like a generic exception type like there is in C#. But anyway, back to this. No complaining. All right. I do not think this needs to happen inside an action. So let's take it off. Hopefully that will not break things. So let's first of all make sure that that didn't break something. I know I put that in there sometime before. Okay, fine. No action. I put that in there a while back to fix something, but I don't remember if it actually fixed it. So clear all memory. Play the game. Do, start. Okay, so this should work. Do. Okay, that's all working. Refresh, and it will stop working. Do. Okay, oh, yeah, it's not working. Okay, so that action did not turn that off to not break anything. So good. Okay. So now, who calls instantiate game? Find all references. Instantiate game is called from game component. So yes, yeah. See, this is where this is the point at where we know we have an app model, and it's calling instantiate game. So this is the point in the code where we know that we might need to reconnect stuff. So let's do it here. Oh no! No! We can do it here. We can do it here in instantiate game. That's better. So back in. So here's where we know about the app model. So we're going to construct it here, and at this point we've got it. So if we have one here, then we can say this: return me dot reconstitute. That's it. Okay, so this is the base model. It's not going to know how to reconstitute. So what we need to do is, I think we have, oh, what are we doing in here? This is, yes. Yes. So return me is a base game model. So this is the base game model. It's abstract. So we're going to have some abstract methods here. So we need to make a new abstract method called reconstitute. Actually, maybe not. We can just make it can just work like a virtual method, which we can override. So, quit app. Yeah, I think I'm going to make it over, I don't know. Abstract reconstitute. Like so. And Alexa return type void. So we'll just put a comment here saying this method is called after loading a saved game from memory. Here is where to hook up stuff the serializer couldn't get back. Okay, so we should see a bunch of failures because there's a bunch of classes now that are not implementing reconstitute. Okay, so the cluster fun game model is going to have, the client model is going to have a reconstitute here. And where do we, cluster fun client model, where does the client know about the letter blocks? Oh, no. We don't want to do this in client model. We want a client model is abstract. And it is going to have an abstract reconstitute here, which returns void. There we go. Okay. Okay, now in the Lexible client model, this is where we need to do it. So here is where we've constructed all this stuff and set up the player board. So let's do reconstitute like so. Okay, boom. All right, in reconstitute, we have a grid. And we just basically need to redo it like this. And we'll just say if not this dot grid rows, we'll do a throw error. Can't reconstitute. Actually, no, there might be no grid rows. If there's not, all right, if there are grid rows, this is when we want to do it, because otherwise there won't be any grid rows. Then we're going to say boom. Okay. So y is less than the grid height. We're going to go through all the rows. We're going to say row is equal to this dot grid rows y. Okay. And then we're going to say, actually, yeah, that's fine. Then we're going to go x da 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 da. And instead of doing a new block, we're going to say const block is equal to row x. And let's do if x is not equal to block dot coordinates dot x, or y is not equal to block dot coordinates dot y, then that's, we should just throw error. Just curious, am we watching? Am we watching? A couple of people. Throw error. Coordinates no matchy. We have one set not equal to another set. Comma. And then this is block. So this is x, y is not equal to block dot coordinates dot x and block dot coordinates dot y. There we go. So we didn't get a match. All right, here everything looks good. So now we can say block dot set I guess we don't need to make a private. No reason to make it private. We'll just say block dot go to definition. On selected, let's rename that F2. On selected, like so. Not private anymore. Back block dot on selected is equal to send action. Boom. And we don't push anything. And we don't do that. We're just reconstituting it. There's some common code between here and here, which is a little bit bad smelly. If I really wanted to make this proper, I could pull this out into a separate method, but I'm really not interested in it now. XY. Okay, this should fix us. Of course, flexible presenter model does not have a reconstitute. So we'll say reconstitute, boom, nothing to do, and put a header on it. Copy, paste. Okay. And now it's complaining because there's other classes that do not do the thing. So fine, let's just fix them all. They're all going to have this. In fact, add code here to fix up saved game data that has been loaded after a refresh. Just so that we paste it around. So the Fumius, so this Fumius is a template class. So yeah, here after the constructor, we'll put in a reconstitute, like so. And then the Fumius presenter, same thing. We will put this here after the constructor. That's annoying. Okay, and then there's another game in here called Merge to the Top, which has same stuff. That client needs to have the thing, and then the presenter. Sorry to make you watch me do all this bookkeeping stuff. Oh, it's the presenter. No, we don't want the TSX. Dang it, that was wrong. Whack. It should be the models. Merge to the top client model. Yeah, should be here. And then the presenter model should have one here. And then that's merged to the top. Retrospectro has some models. The client. Let's fix you here. And let's the presenter model. Let's answer collection here. Okay, sorry to make you go through all that, but this is a good example of like where I'm going through, I'm hitting an issue, realizing that I need to change my architecture to handle it more cleanly and to encourage developers to not, like, if I come in later and make a new game, I want people to like learn from what I've done. So someone coming in and making a new game will see this empty reconstitute and realize what it's for, and it'll help them developing the game later. Okay, so now it should just work. Like if I Z, yeah, so see now it's working here. Okay, so I fixed that bug. Now the next bug to fix is the unselect part is not working. So we need to just add select information here. And this is, okay, this is when, if you set up your TypeScript correctly and you got your types working correctly, this should be trivial. And so let's test it and see if it's really going to be trivial. So Lexible is where we're working. We come in here to our messages, and this, what I want to do, in fact, let's do it even, let's make it even better. Let's make it even better. I'm going to start by coding by intent. So what I want to do is I need to know what was selected here. So let's go back to the message handler on the presenter. So message handler on the presenter, let's find it. Yeah, player letter select. I say instead of true, I want to, so this is going to be data, and this is instead of vector 2, it's going to be a letter select, or letter data. What did I call it? Damn it. Sorry. I'll keep it PG. Darn it. In the messages, I have this type called the letter select data, and I need to export it. Letter select data. Boom. So back here, the thing that I'm getting is letter select data. Huzzah! I need to include it. So let's fix that. Okay. Now we don't. This coordinates doesn't work anymore. So let's just say, if not data dot coordinates. Okay. Let's do data dot. So this will get all the coordinates here. like that. So now we just pull it off the data object. So you notice how the compiler is telling me what to do. So I made that one change here, and now the compiler is telling me, and then I need to make one more change here. Data dot selected value. Bingo. So now this is saying, well, this is red. It doesn't exist. So I'm going to come back here to my messages, and I'm going to add it. And I'm going to say selected value is a Boolean. Okay. Now guess what? This is going to come out, and now it's going to keep complaining to me. What's it complaining about here? F8. It's saying this is the wrong type. And that's right. I shouldn't be passing coordinates. I should be passing action data. Okay. Super. Okay. Now I should get. Oh, there's a little bit here. It doesn't says I don't like that. I don't know what a vector 2 is. Okay, now I can't see it here, but if I click on the client model, oh no, okay. Send action, aha, aha. Okay, this is why we need that function. Yep. So, let's do this. See, this is where I didn't set it up right, because I was expecting the types to generate errors over here. But this is why you never. It's like if you see any's in your code, you want to kill them. They're just they're convenient, but in the short term, but not in the long term. So I'm going to make a new method here. Protected send letter select. And we don't need the action, but we do need the data, and it's letter select data. Okay, and what this is going to do is this is going to call this dot send action action. Oh yeah, remember how I did this over here? This should have been the one that I defined here as the enum. The action is a player action here. Boom. So back to the client model. So this should be a player action. And include it. Okay, and so now I'm going to say a lexible player action dot letter select, comma, data. Yep. And in fact, since I don't necessarily want to construct the data object, I know it needs to be in the letter select data. That's fine. Okay. And now I don't want to call send action anymore. And see, now TypeScript is telling me you can't do it that way. Yes, you're right. So I'm going to do this. And it says, now this is what should have happened. It says, you don't have the selected value here. So this can just, there's two things that we could do here. We could get the selected off the block. That's a little bit risky. Let's just have it come in here. Selected value Boolean. That way we can do this. Comma, boom. And it's still, oh, because it doesn't know it. So go to this definition. It is a selected value Boolean. And the default one on selected value. The default one is correct. Okay. Back to the client. Why do you not like this? The coordinates is, oh wait a minute, is not assignable to a lexible player action. Oh, because we don't want to call send action, we want to call send letter select. Boom. Yes, and now this is happy because all the types are good. Except there's one little problem here. Yes, so this same action here is send letter select, like that, and now same thing. We want the selected value. Does this make it look like this? I guess we can just do this. End, copy, paste. Too many friends. I should have kept the print. Now why are you unhappy? Because in the constructor, the constructor needs to take the actual thing. Selected value boolean minus the void is equal to that. Great. Save. Failed to compile. Getting closer. Doom. F8. Okay, we missed something. Boolean points to do. Yeah, I did have too many params. There we go. Save. Okay, so now if we select items. Oh, okay. Look at that. Did not expect that. Coordinates, they're there. Okay, why did it think that? So let's go to lexible presenter model line 298. This might be a thing with a weird refresh issue, but let's see. There's probably a bug here. 298. If there's not data coordinates. That doesn't seem right. Data.coordinates. Okay. Click. It's not looking at the right code. Refresh. Okay. Okay. Now if I unselect it, so now it's working. Do. Okay, so we fixed that bug. And we fixed the refresh bug. Interesting. Yeah, so if I deselect it. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have a weird thing if like multiple players select the same issue. So that's when we want to distinguish between, like on the presenter screen, if we want to see different players selecting, we're gonna have to read. That's where we'll have to have a new kind of control that knows how to think about a player selecting a particular block, so that we don't have this situation where two people can select the same block, but then one person can unselect it. So we need to have that coming up there. But we're getting closer. Okay, that was fun. Seems like a good stopping point. Hope you had fun. See you around.